The Sienna ND processing engine is a platform designed for IP video and audio workflows, and it can be hosted locally or in the cloud with more than 300 modules available from Sienna to customize your setup. And that's a lot to dig into another day. In this video, the focus is on SKAARHOJ's integration with one of the switcher modules called Vision Mixer Advanced. The Vision Mixer has a familiar layout, much like an ATEM switcher or GVG100. It makes it intuitive and easy to operate. All input sources are NDI or SMPTE2110. And to meet the modern production needs, it actually supports vertical, horizontal, and square formats for flexible content creation. So that's pretty cool, and we'll show it with the Live Fly. It could have been a Master Key 1. It could even have been a mega panel like the one in the background, although it has 12 input sources, so it's probably very fitting to use the Live Fly for it. But I also added a Waveboard Mini today so we can control the audio sources. Let's look at how this actually looks behind the scene. What you see right here is the multi-viewer of the Vision Mixer Advanced, and it has a tally integrated, as you might imagine. So if I make a cut, you can see there's a tally between the camera 1 and camera 5 here. We also have labels coming out of the engine. And let's just move to this UI, because that's the software version of the Live Fly, essentially. So this is also from Sienna. This is the standard software UI. And if I operate that, you'll see I'm changing sources. I can make a cut. And it's all reflected on this one. Yes, of course it is. So if I do a cut over here, I see the cut reflected in the software UI. If I select sources for preview, I see that selected. If I make an auto transition, you see that's happening. Maybe you notice that it is doing the fast auto transition, and that is because we have selected fast. So on this panel, it's not like there are like separate buttons for fast and slow. It is a setting you choose here, and then you press the button to choose fast or slow transition types. In this menu up here, you can make an auto transition for your downstream keyer. You can also turn it straight on and off. You can select which, if the key is a part of the next transition, you can deselect background. All that is done by keys on the physical panel, which is also available on the software panel, which is currently running in the cloud. Of course, you can also use the fader to make a smooth transition here. And with the shift key held down, you now have access to additional sources beyond the 9, which is what is facilitated by default on the panel here. So in a sense, this is the basics of it. It's also the beauty that it's simple and easy to understand and to relate to. Mapped down onto the Live Fly like this makes it a pretty user-friendly solution. If you go to the audio menu on the Live Fly, you actually have access to audio features of each channel. So now we're on channel number 1, and you'll notice that as I'm changing this encoder here, I'm actually adjusting the volume. I can also enable, turn the channel on and off. I can set audio follow video if I want. I can solo it on and off. So all these features are available to me here on the Live Fly. And I can adjust such as the trim. So if you notice this little button here, that is the trim. And if I press the sides, I'm changing that. So that's interesting, right? This is a 4-way button, and it means that it takes more than just a button press. It can actually detect your edge press on the left and the right and the bottom and top edges. And we can use that to let you adjust trim, even though this is actually not an encoder. You can do the same for now. Okay, here we have mono, stereo, and split function. So again, this is also detecting on the edges, but that's basically the channel state. And then finally, you have the pan of the panel or the channel, which is adjusted right here. Again, the edges can be used. Now, there was a little hidden feature, or actually it is shown, because there's like a little wavy line in the upper right corner of the display, and that shows we are now in coarse mode. And in coarse mode, you can see it takes larger steps for pan. If I disable coarse mode, I have now smaller steps. So that's also a pretty neat feature. Now, all of those things can be done on the audio panel over here as well. So we are right now on bank number 1 to 4, and if I move these faders, you see it's moving in the software UI as well. Imagine what happens if I go to the next bank. I have the faders 5 through 8 changed, and I can now switch between these two banks if I want. I am now back at bank number 1, or channel 1 to 4, and if I move the fader in the software UI, you see the fader is following along over here. By the way, also it is shown here what is the value of the level selected. If I turn this one on, I have now disabled the channel. I can also manage the soloing function and the audio follow video any way I like on the waveboard, of course, for any bank of faders that I want. If I use that last bank, I get access to my master fader. You see that moving right here in the UI. So that's that. And then we have the pan on top here. So you can see for channel 1 that I am now panning the stereo picture of this channel using that knob on top, and I can do that for any of the other ones, as you would expect. But that's really nice to have motorized faders, flying faders on your waveboard mini here next to your Live Fly to be able to control both audio and video. You can separate it apart. You can just hand that waveboard over to someone else to do their thing. I want to show you that we can change the name of the labels, and to do that I need to take you into this UI, which is pretty full of configuration for this one. So here you see the 300 modules that Sienna has for another day or another set of videos. There's a lot to dig into. We have made a lot of signal generators create the input sources for the 12 inputs on for this sample, and we won't dig into details of that, but because it is kind of nice to see how cool this technology is. You have the signal generator going into an audio embedder that takes audio from somewhere else, embeds it along with the video from this signal generator, and creates an input source on the video switcher over here. And what you see here is essentially us taking the multi-view output and creating a high resolution version of that, which is what I'm showing in this tab in my web browser. Now, to change the names, you see cam 1, I need to turn off the switcher, and if I do that, I can just change this to cam A instead. Doing that, turning it on again, just waiting for it to reconnect, so it's now waiting for it to come up again, and you'll see that this one now changed from camera number 1 to camera A, because I just changed it in here. So of course there's also that integration that we take labels from within Vision Mixer Advanced and puts onto the panel in the cool crisp OLED displays to show you exactly what is the name of the individual sources. Final thing I want to show you is from within the UI of the Live Fly. So this is the web UI of Live Fly. Live Fly itself doesn't require any computer to connect to the cloud instance that we're currently running. So you'll see that clicking here, we are connecting straight to the cloud on this IP and port, and all we need to do basically is to choose the right model ID. So the device core called Sienna, or the Sienna device core we are using here, needs to know which kind of model that we are using or integrating, and we just selected this one. The others are alternatives, which we'll not cover in this video, and that's how you set up the device connectivity to your cloud instance. That is being used by the configuration for Live Fly that we have selected. As you can see, there are many other configurations for other popular switcher systems out there, but we choose the one for the Sienna Vision Mixer. And then for the waveboard, we find the same, that we have a generic audio and light control configuration. And I'll show you in a moment how that is cool, because for this one, it is you choose a configuration that just does one thing here, working with the Sienna Vision Mixer. And if you wanted to add any additional control, you would basically go into the configuration UI, you could click any of these buttons, and then you could change the behavior of that button so that it does something else, possibly with another device if you want. Now, for the Waveboard Mini, we use a generic fader bank configuration, and if we open the channel configuration here, you'll notice that we have rows that correspond to each channel, and those are all driven by the device configuration called Sienna Mixer Channel here. And if I open that, you'll see there's a lot you can choose from all kinds of audio devices. But today, of course, we just made one that is purely controlling the Sienna audio mixer. We have the channel ID over here, channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. That kind of makes a lot of sense. And I want to show you, instead of just changing these, I'll just drag them. I've just swapped two. So as I release, notice that two channels are now swapped on the switcher. I can do the same for 3 and 4. So if I swap 3 and 4, you'll see those two channels are changing around. So in this way, And I could, by the way, also hide some of them, so they just blank out like this. And this is actually how the last page was made, because there we had only the master fader. So with this one, it would be very easy for you to go in here and create a page, let's say the first page that has only the faders that any given user are supposed to operate and nothing else, just to make it simple and foolproof for that user. You can also color the individual channels if you want to select a color for the channel and it's kind of being used in the background and so on. All right, so that is just to give you a bit of a glimpse into how is the Live Fly managing the connectivity to the Sienna ND processing engine, and also being the host of the Waveboard Mini, which is through the Live Fly controlling the audio channels of the video switcher. Don't miss out on what's next. Hit like and subscribe to stay ahead with our latest innovations. You can get behind the scenes insights and join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And if you want exclusive updates, then subscribe to our newsletter for deep insights, tips, and product and feature news. Our friendly sales and support team is already here to help you at any time to get the most out of your setup, and all the links is in the description below.